Well, good morning. Welcome to the October ASSP Alabama chapter meeting. We'll start with the presentation. Today's presentation is on walking services. Walking services, a lot of standards in there, so I can't cover them all. What I'm going to do is highlight some of the issues that we as safety that you see on the workplace and cover those. We also look at the top 10 OSHA citations out there. It doesn't even fall into any of the top 10. You'll see some of them are general industry, some of them are construction. You can say ladders are walking services. Well, really it's ladders for construction. If you go to the general industry or construction standards and look at walking surfaces, specifically those, it doesn't even make the top 10. So it's really not that exciting when you look at it. Walking surfaces, if you look at all the OSHA standards, are kind of boring. So if you look at OSHA, what do they consider walking surface? Well, it's anything 4 feet or more above height is an issue. You look at construction, it's 6 feet. You look at maritime, they split the difference, it's 5 feet. So anything 4 feet or more, you can hurt yourself. That doesn't mean you can't hurt yourself at 3 feet, 2 feet, or 1 feet. You still can. Depends on what you hit when you end up hitting the ground. So the perfect situation, this is beautiful walking surface. Nice clean floor, nothing really in the way of walking around and so forth, no holes, no issues to trip on and so forth. Do you see that in the workplace? Yes, sometimes, a lot of times we don't. We also have elevated mezzanines or elevated areas. I call them mezzanines. So these need to be protected too because they're higher than 4 feet. They also may have to have a load limit on it so you don't end up crushing the floor and it striking the people in the office right from below. You may have an elevated working surface around equipment and so forth. That's greater than 4 feet, so you have to protect them. This is called a boat stairs or ship stairs, and it actually folds. If you've never seen one, these are kind of cool. They're not a fixed ladder, they're actually stairs. So they have a handrail and they fall under the walking surface stair standard. And you put them in areas that are really tight, but you can't put like a regular stairs. So they're kind of neat. I've never seen a folded boat stairs before. This is the first one I've ever seen, by the way. So they do exist out there. General requirements is basically you find housekeeping. And in the housekeeping standards, some new ones out there that fall in the housekeeping standard. One of them is loads. The employer must ensure that each walking surface that's elevated can support the maximum intended load for that surface. As I had in the slide earlier, this is the mezzanine location. It's got an elevated walking surface that you can store stuff on. It needs to have a load limit. What does that mean? Well, I can print out a piece of paper with a load limit on it that I got from the manufacturer or the construction people, or actually a building code inspector may have this information. Usually it falls like 25 pounds per square foot, 50 pounds per square foot, 100 pounds per square foot. That's normally what you see. And you just post it on the walking surface there so everybody knows what it can handle, so you don't overload it. Walking surfaces are to be inspected regularly and is necessary to maintain in a safe condition. Well, what does that mean? Well, this is beautiful. How often do I have to walk through this and inspect it? Depends on my Dale Earnhardt forklift drivers and what I'm dropping. They don't really drop stuff. They don't wreck anything. I can probably get away doing an inspection maybe once a month, maybe once every 3 months. What we're really looking for, I want to bring this up. This is a terrible picture. Sorry, I haven't got a good picture. Emergency action plan. You have what? Evacuation routes. They usually go outside. This is a beautiful outside picture. It's concrete. We're never going to have to worry about ditches being formed by our severe thunderstorms in the summer that drop 15 inches of rain in 5 minutes. If you have soil around your facility, you may end up with ditches. If you have multiple shifts, especially at night, where you can't see well, because remember, we're evacuating the building in an emergency. We probably lost power. There's no power anywhere in the area. They've lost their generator, the transformer, whatever has happened. So any light is probably low if there is any at all. You could have a ditch that somebody could fall in. So in the emergency action plan, your egress routes, you want to also include them in your inspection outside. So periodically look, how often do I do it outside? Depends on how often I have a thunderstorm that creates ditches. If I don't have soil that's sandy or silt, I may have to not do it that often. If I have sandy, silty soil like in South Alabama, every thunderstorm creates a ditch. I may have to look at every time we have a thunderstorm. What do? You can fill it in, you can board over cones around it. Make sure your employees at night have supplemental lighting so they can spot it when they get to the rally points. I want to bring that up. If you find a hazardous issue while you're doing your inspection, you can't just leave them. You have to do something. What does that mean? Well, maintenance should track it. What do I do until we get it corrected? We put cones around, we can board over, something like that to prevent somebody from falling into it, tripping over, getting hurt. And here's an example of a trip hazard. So I've got this trip hazard. I've noted it in my inspection. What I do, I can put cones around it. I can put a little board over it until it's corrected by maintenance and fixed. I want to cover dock boards. January 17, 2017, the new dock board systems that are installed should have something on the side, whether it's a plate or a bumper, to keep the forklift from driving off between the trailer and the loading dock area. I was at a place this week. They got brand new loading dock constructed this year. No bumpers or side plates, they're called. If you have a mechanical dock lock system, be aware that they don't adjust well. So trailers today could be anywhere from 3.5 feet to 5 feet in height. That dock lock system may not connect to it. So it's important to chop all trailer wheels. And here's an example of a loading dock system. And the issue that you're making, a side plate is go along the side here, a bumper would be a hump over here on this side. It's to keep the forklift from going in the space where you see the white here. That's the idea behind it. I have not seen OSHA cite that at all since 2017. I suppose they would if your basically forklift goes off the side of a trailer. I'm sure they're going to hit you with that citation. I haven't seen a citation yet. Doesn't mean they're not doing it in other regions. They haven't done it in Alabama. But be aware that is a requirement, and manufacturers tend to say it's the employer's responsibility to handle that. They're actually the manufacturers, they're the ones who are going to put it on there. Supposedly, because if you put a plate on the side, does that really ruin the what do they want to call it? The just true. I hate when I do that. It's called the warranty. Not affect warranty because you modified it without their approval. And there's an example of the side plate. Or a lot of times you'll see the bumps on these. This is a forklift used movable dock system. Mainly on these systems here, you're also supposed to done them when we replace them or do a modification to them. I haven't seen that happen. Most everybody's gone to this. I guess it's really, really expensive to replace these. So they're using these. There's one that has a handle so that two people can lift it up. That brings in another issue, ergonomics, throwing your back out from strain or sprain. So be aware of those. These are not lightweight. These are very heavy. Even the ones that the employees can carry, two of them are pretty heavy. So you could have ergonomic issues if you continually have employees move these movable ones around.
I just did a job site assessment a couple of weeks ago. They weren't using them at all. They were just stepping over the space back and forth between the trailer and the warehouse. And you know, why didn't you fix this before you had me come in here and do this? Like, that's pretty obvious. But
yeah, exactly. Typical dock lock system, they don't adjust. We got multiple heights of trailers, so be aware of that. If it's not locking, it's not going to hold the trailer in place. It will move. That's where the wheel chocks come in place in these wheel chocks. They can be made out of wood. They can be the plastic ones you buy. Just make sure you use them so the forklift doesn't move the trailer when it goes in. Our inspection of trailers in Alabama is really good. We don't do it. So you're at the mercy of those trailers having good brakes. And the driver also making sure he hits the dock lock system. And also if you require the driver to install the wheel chocks, make sure your forklift operators make sure they're in place before they load your truck. Last thing you want is one of those trucks moving trying to get out. Fun part of walking surface is stairs. A flight of stairs, according to OSHA, is 3 steps and a riser. Each step is also a riser. So you can say 4 risers or 3 steps and a riser. And then when you get to that point, 3 steps and a riser, you have to look at the characteristics, and it's based on the width of the stairs, Whether it's closed on one side, both sides, open on one side, open on both sides, that'll determine what you have to do. Two-step, don't have to do anything, doesn't mean I can't fall and break my neck, still can. We had a person over in West Birmingham that fell off the first step of a ladder, and actually his head went into one of those rebars on the turns for a boiler. He ended up pulling himself off it, crawled to his desk and died before somebody could get to him. So he just fell off the first step of the ladder, so it's possible. You know, I'm not saying you have to put a railing system on this, but be careful on two steps. When you get the 3 steps in a riser, that's required according to OSHA. Table D2 and the OSHA standards we really want to look at. And basically it says this: if I have a stairs less than 44 inches, I've got to do something on one side. I can either use a handrail or standard railing. If it's enclosed, I can put a handrail on one side. If I got an open side and a closed side, you want to put a railing on the open side because that's the side you're most likely to fall off. When I get to 44 inches to 88 inches, again, it's the same situation, except it requires both sides. So if I'm enclosed, I got a standard handrail on each side. If they're open, I got to have a standard railing on each side. If I get above 88 inches, I don't know what the answer is. OSHA hasn't told me. I do know that you have to put something after 44 inches. So you'll go 40, basically 0 to 44 inches, put in a handrail, and then over to 88 is the other handrail. You go beyond that, they won't tell me if you have to do it every 44 inches or every 88 inches. They've never been able to answer that for me, so I'm not sure. But when you get above basically 80 inches, it requires more handrails. At what distance, I'm not sure. It's either 44 or 88. And here's an example of standard railing system and a stair system going up to an employee factory, and it's 92 inches wide. So they actually need a handrail in the center. So at 46 inches, they'll put in basically a standard railing system for this. So there'll be one in the center because it's more than 80 inches wide. For your handrails, this is a new requirement. It has to be between 30 and 38 inches height. The old standard said 30 to 36 inches in height. So when you set up your standard railing, the side that's enclosed or both sides, it's got to be between 30 and 38 inches high. That's the requirement for OSHA. Stairs are much simpler today. You build them. It used to be based on the angle of the stairs. You could go up to a riser height of 10.5 inches, 10 3/4 inches years ago. Now it's much simpler. Minimum trough is 22 inches wide. Minimum depth is 9.5 inches. So each step should be like 9.5 inches. And this is all for new stairs, by the way. The old stairs fall under the old standard. Maximum rise in height is 9.5. What this doesn't tell you is you also have your riser height the same. What happens is if I have one at 8 inches, one at 9.5 inches, one at 7.5 inches, your body's thinking, oh, 8. I start to get trip hazards issues with those types of stairs. You don't see it normally until it's the top step where you get into the landing. They cut the stairs too short, they build it too short, and a lot of times what you'll have is basically a riser height of 8 inches, and it's 10.5 or 11 inches to step into the landing. You'll see that a lot. So be careful when you put your stairs in, make sure they're all consistent as far as height. Guardrail systems. Basically, it requires a top and a mid rail, and there's an issue that you have to think about when you put this. When you put it on stairs, it's 42 inches for the top rail and 21 inches for the mid rail. When you build along the walkway, it's 42 inches and 21 inches for the top rail and the mid rail. However, they will allow you plus or minus 3 inches when you're on a walkway. They won't allow you that when you're on the stairs for some reason. It wasn't in the standard. I don't know if they'll allow you to have that because it makes sense if I got something that could be on a walkway. I want to tie it in on the stairs going up at 39 inches. So it connects and you don't have maybe a pinch point or a nip point as you're coming up or getting on it. withhold 200 pounds of downforce for the top rail and 150 for the mid rail. Forget that. Make everything 200 pounds. Don't buy two different materials. No reason to do it. Make everything the same. Pretty much, unless you've got a Chihuahua chain, a Chihuahua cable, everything will handle 200 pounds. Basically, if you can't move it 2 inches, you got 200 pounds downforce. If you can move it way out, you got a Chihuahua chain, a Chihuahua cable, so that's not good. Corrugate above, I think will handle. So just remember that. This is typical of a standard railing system on a stairs and a walkway. This is training, so everything's perfect. I like the shot. Everything's at 42 inches and 21 inches, and toe boards are good. So you'll see this throughout, unfortunately. Larger scales. This is really wide. Talked to the guys who built this and said, we built it BOCA requirements, we're fine. So they built it to the basically the rules for Florida. I think it's Fort Lauderdale, Florida's BOCA. They also have regulations for your towns. So according to them, it was built right. Yes, it was, but OSHA has regulations too. This should have railing in the center. And they fought me and I said, you know what, do whatever you want. Told the client, don't let your employees use this. This is actually going to a farm store where the residents in the area can walk up to the store and get free farm vegetables and products for free. So we don't care about, as far as OSHA is concerned, we don't care about the community. We don't care about your employees. So their employees are banned from using the stairs. I told you about a standard railing. You can throw that out the window if you so choose to go this way. You are allowed to build a railing like this. Takes more material. It looks nicer. And you're allowed to do it this way. The difference is when you go to these posts here, no more than 19 inches wide. And that's the difference between the style here and this here. This takes a lot more material. This is what you typically see, but you'll see this in beautiful warehouses. They have customer lounges. You'll see it. Museums, you'll see it. Auditoriums, you'll see it. Schools, you'll see it. Typical standard railing. This is not in compliance, by the way. It's too low, but this is only 2.5 feet high. So they did it for good safety practices. So it's fine because they put it around there to prevent somebody fall 2.5-inch height surface. So even though it doesn't meet the 42 inches, hey, it's good practice. It's not required to be a 42. Toe boards, they're required, depends if you can drop something to the people down below. If you aren't, you don't need them. If you do, these are the requirements. Minimum vertical height is 3.5 inches. No more than the difference between the walking surface and the height of the first bottom of the toe board. This is probably the one I've never seen in the workplace, even though I've seen stuff piled up high. Is if it's piled higher than the toe board, you're supposed to put a safety net there. Never seen it. They sell them, but nobody ever uses them. Just be careful. Do not pile equipment higher than the toe board because it can go over the side. Just remember that. And again, this is a perfect toe board walking system. Like I said, I like this shot. Elevated platforms accessed by either fixed ladder or could be stairs. Mostly of the time this would be a fixed ladder. Fixed ladders need to have a self-closing gate. OSHA used to cite that all the time. People got smart and put self-closing gates on the ladders, so you don't see this much anymore. Let me go back here. I was going to tell you what OSHA cites all the time. Number one cited walking surface standard that we see is no mid-rail. All the time. And you'll be surprised how many places you go, they didn't put the mid-rail in for standard railing. I don't know why. They just didn't do it. So here's a elevated walking surface, platform area. You get a fixed ladder, you get your self-closing gate up here, you got a nice railing system around, so that meets the standards. Doesn't have to have a cage on it, it's less than 24 feet. And here's a shot of a self-closing gate. What it does is when you step through the ladder, it opens up, and when you step past the self-closing, it automatically closes behind it. Make sure it closes. Hate it when you get older, you start to lose those words. I think it's little screen, that's, what we call a metal thing in there. I'm gonna think about it in the whole, car going home, so, oh yeah, that's what I wanted. Anyways, metal, spring. The metal spring will rust, and then they don't shut, so remember that. Watch this, springs on these, as they rust, you have to replace them. And it will happen due to conditions, of rain, moisture, they tend to rust. Fun part, I'm gonna be retired soon. It's all your problem, not mine. 24 feet and above, so it's 24 feet and above, prior to November 2018. I'm not gonna, don't worry about the fall arrest system, don't worry about the ladder safety system, they all have cages, period. They put cages on everything. Cages were designed to direct a splat, instead of finding the body, 20 feet away, it was at the base of the ladder, and that's when the splat went, and the person fell. And that's what the manufacturer will tell you. Everything's got a cage on it. New walking surface standard, they don't have cages on it. You're supposed to have a personal fall arrest system or a ladder safety system. They actually tell you don't put cages on it. It affects how these personal arrest and safety systems actually work. And I'll explain those as we get into the slides more. If you have an older fixed ladder that was built before 1119, you got to put fall protection on them by 1118, 2036. I'll enjoy my retirement and have fun. Hopefully the ladder will last that long. If not, replace it with a new one. Be aware, the manufacturer will tell you, we're still putting cages on them. You want to put a personal fall arrest system on them, that's your problem. Someday they may sell them. They may actually put them on, but right now they're still putting cages on, unfortunately. So here's an example of a fixed ladder. This is called a ladder guard, which you can put on to prevent kids from crawling up and getting hurt, or your employees. There is no self-closing gate where it should be. It should be up here in the front. The platform, if you're up north where it snows and gets icy from September to May, it's a beautiful trip hazard to come off the ladder down below. Why do they have that thing at the bottom? You hit that splat, and then you fall onto the concrete. So, yeah, I have no clue why they got that there. Take the ladder all the way down. I got this off the internet. I thought it was a cool shot because it's not. It's not got the self-closing gate correct, and you got a splat down there with. For some reason, I have no clue. The only thing I think of is maybe it floods here or ice. Who knows? Snow. Who knows? It's up north. I know that. Here's a taller taller fixed ladder. Again, no self-closing gate at the top, but it's got the cage on it. So this is one of those in 2036. You have to put a fall protection system on. So it's a ladder safety system. It's a system designed to eliminate or reduce the possibility of falling off the ladder. And it does do that. I've actually let go on one of those systems. You fall about a half a rung distance. So 3 or 4 inches is really all you fall. It's got a carrier safety sleeve, a lanyard, connectors, body harnesses. The old systems from the early 90s, late 80s was basically rope with which these connected on. So you get caught all the time. It wasn't a great system, but it still stopped you from falling. Cages and rolls are not ladder safety systems, and that's why I don't want them on there. So this is an example of a safety system. And this is with the cage. This one isn't too bad. But the reason why you want a cage on it is the system should be over here on the side. You got a big maintenance guy, and most maintenance guys are big, and they got big feet. This is 16 inches wide. You put this in the center, you're impacting how much room you got to move up the ladder. Furthermore, this should extend up well above. If you want to hook up here, unfortunately, if you put it in the center, now me being a maintenance guy, my butt's got to try to get around it and through the self-closing gate. So a lot of these systems you'll see will stop at the top rung, which means I'm hooking while I'm at the top of the ladder, not on the platform, which is when I'm most tired is at the top of the ladder. I could accidentally fall off when I unhook myself. This is a better system. It's over on the left side, more room to get up. And this is how it should be. And then extend it up so I can get through the self-closing gate and unhook. So what I do if I got a less than 24-foot ladder, and it's all about money. This numbers are old. In 2018, the average claim per back issue was 40 to 80,000. I'm sure it's more now.
And that's just direct cost there.
Yeah, that's just direct cost. Yeah. 2018, 2020, 44,000 for a medical consultant, and got 1.3 million. That's 3 years ago. This is actually new data. I got this at the ASSP Safety 2023 conference. You have a D-ring system with a chest harness, 75 to 350. With all protection systems that talk to them, 600 to 1,000. So you can see for $1,500, way less than a cost of one injury, you can put these systems on your ladders. Now, that doesn't include the training costs, you're training the employees to use them right, buying more than one harness, but they're much cheaper than somebody falling off the roof. Roof access. Well, you can access the roof in the middle by a fixed ladder inside, or maybe stairs. And one of the things with a fixed ladder, and I've got this in the next slide, is these hatches that you crawl through, this nice sharp sheet metal. If you ever climb up one of these, they really want you to have a grab handle. This is the grab handle. You should at least have a grab handle up there. It should extend up 3 feet. So you don't have to touch this, which is really sharp. You can cut really good on these and get out on the platform. This is actually one of the cage systems that they make for getting up into a roof hatch that's in the center of a roof. Nice design. I've never seen one. I usually see grab handles. There's 3 types of roofs out there. There's flat, low slope, and high slope roof. Flat roof, consider a walking surface greater than 4 feet above the ground level. So if I have a parapet wall around and it's 39 inches high, I've got my standard railing system. It's less than 39 inches high. You can always add something to it, like some more metal, to make it 42 or 39 inches high. If I don't have anything else, what can I do? They make these systems. Problem with roofs is whenever I dig into them, they will leak. No matter how well you put the roofing tar material around the holes, it's going to eventually leak for some reason. So these just set on the roof. Supposedly they're hurricane proof. I don't believe it, but that's what the manufacturer will tell you. And you can set these around the roof. Well, how much do I need? Depends on where my equipment is. Equipment near the edge, I want to go around my equipment. I don't have to go all around the roof, only where my equipment is. So I can put it around the roof. Or the next shot I got. This was a Sharp company, and unfortunately they got too big, so they can go BPP if they want. Their equipment is in the center of this flat roof, way in the center. And we're talking 1,000 feet from one side to the edge. So what they did is they put 2 10-foot sections of this. You can mount 20 feet. And they did yellow brick roads. Trained the workers to have yellow brick road to their equipment. And it minimized the amount of railing systems they had to put around. We're more than 35 feet of the edge here. So yellow brick road, there's no requirement for fall protection. Well within the limit. For slope roofs, it's kind of confusing. They say this for less than 6 feet from the roof edge. You need a guardrail system, safety net system, travel road shades, and personal road. And they say the same thing for between 6 and 15 feet. Okay, why not just do it at 6 foot? Requirement, so put it around the edge, or I put in my systems. Because also I have to do it when greater than 15. Doesn't mean I have to use it, but it's got to be there in case I do. So I have to put it there anyways. Why not just do it? If I'm lucky enough to have stairs or a fixed ladder to the top of a low slope roof, the very top or near the top, where I'm way away from the 15 foot, I can call that a designated area and get my employees to work in that area only. And if it's minimal amount of time that they spend up, times they've been as that, I don't do any fall protection. I do have one client that does have that, so they're allowed to do that, not have any fall protection because they're way away from the edge and they got access to the top of the roof where their equipment is. And again, a low slope roof is kind of like this. This is a low slope roof. This is actually a high slope roof. That's a high slope roof. This is a low slope. So that's where I'd have to have some type of fall protection, or again, this is fall protection, that's one of the systems I can attach to the roof. A lot of them out there, or, that's an example of up close, what it looks like. They have these systems just like the other ones, this set up. That can use nothing. Ideally, keep your employees off the roof, unless the contractors have it. They're allowed under construction standards to do basically a, flag system at 6 feet. And as long as they get to the roof beyond that 6 feet, which they use a mobile elevator work platform to get to it, or maybe a scissor lift, they'll do work under construction standards. You don't have to worry about it. It's less cost. Where you get into problems is leaking, you gotta send maintenance up there to figure out why it's leaking, why get a professional out there to look at it. Save you the cost, harassment, and terror of all this stuff you have to do, whether it's fall protection systems or putting up a railing system. They got high slope road. Really, all that's out there is these types of systems. And unfortunately, when you get a high slope road, any moisture makes these things like ice. So it's easy to fall and slip. And even if you don't fall off, you got a fall protection system. There's a lot of sharp edges on here, so you can look at lacerations, cuts all the time. Of course, you have to put skylights in rooms. Skylights like to leak, or they allow people to fall through to their death or severe injury. We just had somebody in Tuscaloosa 3 years ago go through a skylight. He survived. All his while, the pain to survive. About 26 feet. And whether they're there for the provide light sources. Well, today with the LED lighting, heck, you don't need them anymore. So what can we do? We can get rid of them, or we can guard them. And they do deteriorate over time. So be aware of that. They also fade over time, so they look the same color as the roof. Up north, we kind of see these, which is the perfect color of snow, so you can't see them. So you end up falling through all the time. And what they do is they make a chicken cage that fits over. Don't cost a lot of money, but you can fall through. In Alabama, in the South, we tend to have skylights like this, which is in fiberglass plastic material, which deteriorates, it gets brittle, also becomes the same color of the roof over time. And they make that system put over those. Everybody I've ever talked to usually is going to get rid of these skylights because they always leak, because they crack. And why worry about gutting? Just get rid of them, have a roof section put over them, have a contractor take them. Training, like everything else, you got to do training. You got to train them on the equipment you're using. You got to train them on how to use dock poles. You got to train them on how to climb a ladder. You got to train them on everything in this walking surface standard that you're having. If there's a change in the workplace, change in the equipment, you got to change them as well. You got to train them as well. Train them on what they need to inspect if they're involved in this routine inspections of their work areas for issues. Again, when you do retraining, I do it annually, or I get new equipment, or I see an employee not using it correctly. And that's all I got. And this is safe state. We have environmental, we have training, and I'm in the ocean consultation group. We are a free service to the state of Alabama. There's no charge for our services. All we ask you to correct serious hazards in a timely manner in our agreement. Any questions on walking services?
Talk about, it just seems like there's always the discussion with the maintenance guys about how big a hole you can have that would be a trip hazard, or you have the little stobs that's left when you move machinery and just trip hazards. How smooth, how, you know, that kind of.
Every single building that's built, those concrete blocks have kind of I'd call it like a putty or something that will come out. It can be a trip hazard. So a little half-inch, you know, take a look at it. People are tripping, it's an issue. Make it flush to the floor. When you're looking at holes, 4 feet, and then 2 feet is another number in the standard. Kind of look at, I can get hurt at 1 foot. I can get hurt at 6 foot.
I'm thinking more like 2 or 3 inches where there was a pipe there.
An inch, really.
Yeah.
When I showed you the picture of that one hole, it's actually got a piece of rebar coming out. So that rebar is an issue. They had that hole was only like 3/4 of an inch, believe it or not, but it had a piece of rebar. So that's an issue, potential for a laceration, and because it's rebar, there's rust on it, so guess what? Tetanus shot. If I get a laceration, if I have a head one. Potentially.
Basically saying the
So-
floors ought to be.
I mean, and talk about 4 feet on it, loading docks, you know. I really to cover this, I gotta add it into the walking surface. Let me go back to the loading dock. I don't have that picture in here, do I? In Alabama, this is our air conditioning system. In a lot of workplaces. Which is open door to warehouse. Right?
Mhm.
How do we get ventilation in our buildings? I didn't know it back that far. "40 inches. It's a walking surface, you got doors open. For less than 40 inches, what's the issue? I can kill myself falling out of a loading dock at 3 foot. What's even worse is I get a truck driver who's trying to get a service with his cell phone. Because he's using one of the less popular cell phones. He's only got one bar, he's hanging out and he falls out. 3 feet down, he cracks his head on the concrete. It's an issue. So what do? There's things that you can do. I had a nice beautiful railing system in here. What do I happen to it? Put a railing system across. When I talked about corky chains and cables, you can actually use chains and cables. You can put a high bolt here, use a turnbuckle that you can tighten stuff up with a turnbuckle, the chain on there, or a cable with a plastic coating so you don't get slivers from the chain. And that's my simple railing system, so I can have air conditioning during the summer months, which is April to November. And I've got basically a standard railing system at 42 inches and 21 inches with 2 cables going across. You can also do bar material. You can make a nice railing system to set there. But you know, you can do chain and cable too. And really, the old standard, this is the failure of the new standard thing. I'm dealing with a grinder or shredder or cutter, and I'm pushing stuff into it. Sawmills, maybe a recycling center. The old standard had 2 feet. If I was 2 feet above, I had to protect it. I was about 4 feet, unfortunately. I think that got left out by accident. So really, is 4 feet safer now than 2 feet years ago when I'm over a grinder or a shredder or something? No, I would guard it at 2 feet or 1 foot. I'd have something there to prevent them from getting into it. Guy just went through a shredder down in TR Miller in Bruton last year. And, you know, there's nothing left, obviously. He came pieces of the wood chips that come out the other side. So he went to a shredder. Now he got pulled in, but there should have been some safety mechanism there in the wood. Okay. I know it's boring. It's terrible. It's not lockout, tag out, powered industrial vehicle, machine guarding, process safety management, which I like all that. It's kind of boring, but
I mean,
what's really sad is, you pay your construction people and your architectural designees right, you would figure you wouldn't get into, situations like, this where they're gonna argue, well, oh, it's built by POCA. I don't care about POCA or Birmingham's regulations, this being the other one's better. This doesn't ocean. And they're looking at, well, you know, the communities use it, yeah, but the employees of the facility are too. And you need to protect the employees. And why wouldn't you protect the community? An old person who's coming to get the free food at this facility can slip and break their neck on ice on this just as easy as an employee can. And you know, we have enough workers in the state of Alabama. I'm sure they need to reserve for that, what you felt that, or that community person. So why not build it to OSHA regs and make it safe for everyone?
the money that goes into slip strips and falls, I mean, it's typically the most expensive thing in the.
Yeah, exactly. So
in a
the falls are usually
workplace.
the number one injury out there. And you know, this is perfect, nice smooth concrete in a dew situation in the spring and summer with, and especially the fall with leaves on here. It's just factory just waiting to happen, you know? And there's plenty of trees around here with nice leaves to break your neck on this.
When we do testing for employers, we frequently get questions because we always test for balance. They said, well, why do we need to test for balance? Like, we've got mostly flat surfaces. I'm like, A, falls from same level are one of the most expensive things in your facility and, you know, across the nation. And B, most people don't know if they have compromised balance. If you've had a knee injury or a hip injury, ankle injury, back injury, you might not even know that you have compromised balance issues. And we probably fail more people in pre-hire testing from balance than for any other thing. The average 69-year-old in the country, healthy 69-year-old, should be able to balance on a single leg for just under 20 seconds. And so that's what we set our balance score for. You have to balance on one leg for 20 seconds on each leg. And if they fail that, they can't get the job. And we have employers ask us, well, yeah, we're losing a bunch of employees. I'm like, yeah, do you want that person? We work with a lot of trucking companies. Like, do you want that person climbing in and out of their truck all day long or getting up and down off of a flatbed and they can't balance on a flat surface? I mean, you're looking at, you know, 6-figure injuries if somebody falls off that and hurts their back or cracks their head. So
Yeah. So we had a fatality, knocked down, the truck driver slipped off his 3.5-foot high truck bed, smashed his head on the asphalt down below. He was out in the main road tying up his trailer and putting the straps over, and it was a really wet day. He ended up slipping off the trailer and cracked his head on the asphalt. They stabilized him.
and the thing is, if you've got compromised balance issues, you know, somebody has good balance, they hit something in the workplace, they, you know, there's a wet spot that they slip. A person who has good balance, they can catch themselves and it doesn't end up being a slip or a fall. A person who has compromised balance, they hit that same spot and they go to the ground. And so they're either breaking an arm or cracking a head or hurting their back, twisting a knee. So it's really expensive.
Are you doing that test or are you having a physician do that test?
So the company I work for, we set up the testing for companies all over the world to do this. And so we typically we contract with PT groups all over the world. So if, you know, Acme Trucking wants to hire somebody for the driving positions, they send that candidate to a PT clinic and they run them through a whole suite of tests, lifting, carrying, switching, pulling, crawling, climbing, and balance.
I'm pretty sure it's part of the DOT test, physical, isn't it?
No, the DOT is mostly just vitals. They check heart rate, blood pressure. They don't test for any of the physical capabilities in the DOT. And so we check the vitals as well, because I'm not going to test somebody who, you know, if we test them and their blood pressure is 200 over 190, we're not testing that person. So we do a double check on the vitals, but the DOT does not test.
I haven't had a DOT physical in 6 years, but prior to that, I remember the doctor making me stand on 1 foot.
And
Now
some
I
of
know
them
why
will
you
do it on
do
their own. Yeah, it's not a requirement, but some of them will do it on their own.
Now I know why he was doing it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ronald, you got any questions? Thanks for attending my Zoom, by the way, Ronald.
It's on mute, so we won't be able to hear him.
Okay. Well, thank you. We'll get into the meeting now.
Well, I didn't think it was boring.
That's good stuff.
No, I don't need one of those coffee mugs they got. So if anyone want to present, I do have a ton of coffee mugs for you to give out. And they're really nice mugs. You can put it in the microwave and dishwasher now. We learned that lesson. Previous mug we had. You want to run while we set this up and get yourself some lunch? We got plenty over there. New share. I hit the new share, right?
Wow, this is, okay.
Are we sharing?
Yes.
First, is there any new guests here that have been here? Anybody new? Everybody been here before?
This is my first meeting. I joined like 3 or 4 months ago, but it's my first meeting.
Okay, great. Introduce yourself.
I'm Ted Lonspeak. I was a driver for about 28 years. On my second career now, I got out of driving and I was DOT compliance / safety training for 6 years. And now I've transferred over to just health and safety with Action Environmental. We do industrial cleaning, tank cleanings, remediation, hazardous materials, all kinds of stuff like that. And I taught hazardous materials and I was on the trucking side, same company, just 2 different divisions. So,
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you'll stand and join me in the vote. I think we're in the flag. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would anybody like to leave us in a prayer this morning? Do you, Evans?
Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for health and strength for all those who've been able to attend or to participate in some way. We thank you for increasing our wisdom and helping us to be better at what we do so we can help others to not get injured, to not have problems. We thank you for watching over all those who we help to manage their safety for. Thank you for blessing the food that we're about to receive for the nourishment of our bodies. Christ is our Lord's name. Amen.
Want to get something real quick? Do some lunch? Even there's less questions.
There's sandwiches. Here's our tea and lemonade. There's ice. Oh,
Okay.
they just ran out of, they ran out of the gallon jugs and still they gave us. Interesting. It's just sweet. No.
Good.
Natural safety conference.
It's,
Yeah. The eight. Couple times. Down there. There. Back for a couple of days. Therapy conferences in Austin. For following week, for that one.
Just to let you know, on training information out there, UHA State has a lot going on. They added in a mold inspector for, that's obviously, ISO 45001 inspector for. He's got that for UAV. Their training is focusing on right now, respiratory protection, automatic testing, and noise. Anything else? How you can think of?
No,
That's been the three I've seen highlighted.
those are the three main courses.
UA Safety has OHS has a monthly webinar. It's free by Zoom. If you haven't given us your email address, you're not getting it. If you'd like to give me your email address, we'll get you on our mailing list. Maybe Easton in this month, I forgot what the title is. It's good here. And it's a free webinar on some safety or health topic. They go through about 30 to 40 minutes in length. And then a question and answer. The only issue we have is by Zoom. And unfortunately with spam junk mail, it looks as an attachment. But sometimes it's kicked back by your spam junk mail system. And there's nothing we can do to Zoom set up. We can't change it. And we've had some issues with being kicked back. March 14, 2024 Elder Construction Conference. I'm not training them. Haven't had it in a while, this is the first one in a long time. So construction food, it's probably more general industry than construction, but it's called construction. That's what's always been called. It's really good for the conference. The Spanish breakout session focused on employees. There'll be some general industry topics. OSHA will be doing an update, probably question answering, something like that. There'll also be some construction related topics as well. South Center for Occupational Safety Health will be doing the registration. You can go to the website right now, at least check on the information. Registration used to be in January, might be earlier this year. Sign up, there'll be probably about 300, 250, 300. That's what we have to pass. Let's see, the next one will be in May, and that's the Region 4. Our region in the ASSP conference will be down in they had to increase the price because now Disney Springs, which is a little more expensive than normal hotels that we go to. It's also limited to 200 people only because of the size of the hotel. So the first 200 tickets. And then it was the Region 4. We had it in Tuscaloosa this year in April. So this next year it will be down in Florida.
And they did just put out the speaker call for that just like 2 days ago. So
Actually, it's been about started last month, and obviously they haven't got a lot of speakers because they're continuing. But I submitted for Governor Safety Health Conference. It's going to be August 26th through 28th. The reason why I bring it up because I got chewed out multiple times this year. They limit to 400 employees. They cut the date at July 27th this year. So those who called me in August were yelling at me they couldn't get in. It's not our conference anymore. Not safety. It's University of Alabama Conference Center group that does it. Whole different group on College of Finance that does it. So we have no control on it. We either either make the call or they can get in. So call early, register early because it's 400 only. Period. They don't have any fun. And they're stuck at that kind of had the conference. So just be aware of it. And the other one that's coming up in 2 weeks. This year is the South East Line Safety Health Conference. It's over at Roxbury, the Hoover, the golf course. So, whatever the trail is,
RSA.
trail, really nice location. But if we got MSHA issue, this is not good, but a really good conference. Tell her name, the shot, but I want to congratulate Sooner, Bahar Noah, sorry, his name. Being nominated and awarded, Women State Excellence Wise Member of the Month recently. I got this information from her and another, Wise will be sending out some information. It'll be in next month's newsletter, we'll make an announcement, for everybody, just to know. But congratulations on winning the monthly award. Still looking for volunteers for committees, events and so forth. I'm gonna have an executive committee meeting after this. If you want to stay, you're more than welcome. We don't have as many as we'd like to have members helping us out, so we're gonna probably restrict what we do, focus on what we found. These are some of the issues that we'd like to try to address. Better programs, both in construction, general industry, environmental. Increase in membership, we're at about 348. PDC half day event, I think I got an excavation trenching that's going to be over in Tuscaloosa early next year. It will be a small fee. What I'm thinking of on the fee, and Ellen will help me on this, is all donations to the events will be put in our scholarship fund. So we can offer scholarship. I don't think we will do it next year. I'm hoping 2025. And what I like to do is offer a nice scholarship, one only, to the winning student, a nice scholarship, maybe 5,000 to 10,000.
That sounds awesome.
That's my ultimate dream. We're definitely going to do a recognition lunch. Some emails in. We have some long-term members who 50 years.
I think so, yeah.
150, bunch that are in the 40s that are the members for ASSP.
Wow.
So we're looking to have a recognition lunch, probably going to be here. We'll have a couple rooms, large. It's always been well attended and a nice event. It'll be a nice lunch, and it will be Jason's Deli, Chart House.
I know.
It's sad.
It is.
They did a really good job, so we'll get somebody else to do good. Look at the one we used for one of the conferences over there, Urban Cookout.
Oh, yeah.
Good job.
That's a good one.
So we might do scholarship, we'd like to bring this in. Something to consider right now, SPY committee for SPY nomination. We haven't done it. Been a while since we've done one. Alabama chapter has had obviously chapter members. They also have regional members. Is that international?
I don't remember.
Danny.
Maybe Danny,
Danny might want-
not John Placey, did you just?
I'll make
Maybe Danny.
Danny Kelly might have done. So we're in one of the conferences across the country. I want to San Antonio, do that.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
So we've done always well with these when we nominate people, we just have to nominate them, and there's a time limit. Tuscaloosa had their first meeting this month, and the presenter was Joel Batiste, the director for Birmingham. If you're from the Neptune, Montgomery, Auburn area, you'll have your area directors out of Mobile. This is the new area director for Birmingham, which goes to about Thorsby over to Sylacauga that way. Everything below that is for Mobile, everything's above for Joel Batiste, so he's not Birmingham. He's the presentation. All of them are good. All of them, they really good job. And that's the chairman over at Tuscaloosa. He's the task president previously, before that, the president of the chapter here. And there's still the live chapter presidents that I know of that came to the event, the previous five. Chapter presidents. Next meeting will be November 17th, and it's raising the bar, crane safety. Casey, Jordan Casey from Rashfield and Gory's Equipment Services will be doing the presentation on crane safety. Thank you for attending. I appreciate it.
Any questions or
Any
announcements?
questions at all?
Announcements.
You showed the conferences that were coming up. Do you have to be a member to go to those? Or can anybody go? That mine safety, anybody can go to that?
Anybody can go to that. You can go,
Yeah, this one's gonna be free, so that's a great one. When you get an ASSP, they kind of have members, non-member fee costs. So if you work, you're not a member, you could go, region 4, it's a lot less than state of the
Yeah.
safety.
it's, I think the mine safety conference, you can go on to, SE IMSHA and it'll pull up. Or you can go to the Deep South Center, you can get a link. We do the Deep South Center for Occupational Safety and Health. I'm sure you can still register. There's no membership or anything, and it really is, it featured speakers and learning sessions and some networking, really great lunches. It's a very nice 3 days, so. They're
So
2.5 days.
which does a lot of surface mine work.
Yeah, and there are a lot of great contacts there. I mean, it's miners from the entire Southeast and Puerto Rico, so it's a really great group.
And with the mine safety and the governor safety, there's pre-classes. So you can look at what the pre-class interest and availability, you can register for the pre-classes. If I go to the governor's conference, every year they do record keeping. This year they did something else, but usually they'll record keep it. So there's an example, half day class prior to the conference, you register for. We did something in the afternoon, so you can register. You don't have to do it on later on. You can register, just, whatever it is. Mine Safety and Health Conference also has some conference for. The executive committee PowerPoint.
Or anything?
I'm a really little chicken for Halloween.
Oh,
What are you having?
and share this. I think I'm sharing the entire. Let me check.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for attending the October Executive Committee member for the ASSP Alabama chapter. First slide I got here is our financials. We're actually doing pretty good. I thought we were worse than this.
Oh, no.
I thought we were at
Our
21.
membership kind of,
I know we go based on membership
Yeah.
costs.
we tend to lose a little and then membership puts us back. We didn't used to pay for the
I was
lunch.
down around 21, 22. So
Yes.
it's much better than I thought.
Yeah.
So we're doing good. So that's good. So thanks for the financial.
Yes.
Membership, we're actually down, would you say? Here's the problem, it's kind of hard to tell. Years ago, when we had 500 something numbers, there was a lot of duplicates and stuff like that. And they've changed their system and so forth. And were we correct back then or we were off? I don't know. I think we're down a little bit. We're probably should be more closer to 400. I think some of it's related to UAB not having as many as they used to have. I thought they were kind of low at Auburn, that's less than we saw. All I see right now at Jacksonville State is 10 on our current mailing list we got, that's how we determine the membership. And we're 348 total members, 309 in sections and chapters. That includes Auburn, Montgomery, and Tuscaloosa sections that we currently have. There's also the Northeast section, which
There's no way.
doesn't exist right now. And it's just, we can't get anybody over in the Oxford, Anniston, Gadsden.
I think I may have went to, because I'm from that area, that's me. And I think I was a member, and I bet I went to like one meeting in like a few years.
We try to do it in Talladega too.
Yeah,
And we have one or two meetings and kind of fell
It
apart.
just never really.
You just can't get people to attend. And part of it's location. You gotta really find a stable location that you can go to. And there's been some changes in Anniston, Oxford, you know, the Army base has gone way down. Which means you did have some new companies come in, but they're tiny and they really don't have a safety professional. And some of the other companies that had safety professionals that kind of went out of business or were bought, closed, and they moved on and they're gone. So we need to focus on membership to try to get more members. Because there are a lot of companies in the state of Alabama that should have safety professionals involved with our organization.
And when you're saying members, because everybody who moves into the area is kind of automatically added to our list.
Right.
So that's where those members come up. What you're saying is go out and get new folks who's not a member of ASSP altogether
Which
and get
I'll
them.
say Amazon, because that's the only name I can think of right now, but there's a brand new steel company that came in existence. They're located down on Airport Boulevard and the old US pipe, US steel facility, CDM steel or something like that. There's a couple of billboards around town. They're asking for employees. I don't see them as an obviously Amazon. I don't know if they have any. I didn't see them. But why not Mercedes?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying they'd be Alabama chapter. Perfect for them is Tuscaloosa section
Yeah.
because they're down there. And that's, you know, it's a failure from Auburn, Montgomery.
But do they, I guess what I'm leading up to is, do they have safety guys who would be in ASSP anyway? Or do we need to recruit them to become ASSP
Well, they
members?
normally would be on our chapter if they're in those companies here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why don't we see a name in there for them?
Yeah, I don't, so I'm sure they're not part of it. And you can come to the section meetings, you can come to the chapter meetings as a guest and never have to be an ASSP member. And you know, really, what does ASSP members really are? They're professionals who've gotten certified for the most part, and they need to be paying points. And this is one of the ways to maintain points. I'll bring up something on points. And that's the government conference. It's the same way now. Very first year it happened. National conference. Used to be you go to conference, you got 2.5 points for the conference. This year, 1.7. They took away some of the time, and I understand it's for vendors. Get down to see the vendors. The vendors are the reason why the conferences are so studied. They did the same at the governor's conference. Used to get 2.5 credits, I'll say, got 1.7. So we've lost 0.8.
Come to these meetings.
Meetings now, you get 0.1 point per meeting that you attend. You're only required to have 4 as a chapter or section. So what that means is you only do that for, you lost another 0.8 for the year on the other 8 months you didn't have a meeting. When you get to recertify for your CSP, CIH as well, and vice versa with AIHA, where are you gonna get those points? You gotta make them up somehow. You gotta go to more conferences, or you gotta buy their training. Or we gotta have PDCs, which we haven't done in a while.
What is the points for a PDC?
It just
Professional development.
depends, it just depends on how many. It's 0.1 for every hour of learning.
Yeah.
So, if, you know,
It's a half day.
yes,
Yeah,
you're
so-
gonna get maybe, yeah, it has to be.
Yeah. So, need to get more members involved. That includes our committees. There's 3 committees we gotta have: membership, government affairs, and programs. Programs could be pretty big for one person. And usually we get one person they're generalized. General industry. Yeah, I know a little tiny bit on construction. I know a lot more on maritime than construction, because I do maritime. So I as a program person could probably find maritime. We don't have any ships up here, why worry about it? So I worry about general industry. Construction people, we have construction members who come occasionally. I would think that they'd love to see a construction presentation. Next month, we're doing cranes. Constructions is big on cranes, so the presentation we do to construction, hopefully we'll have them come. So I'm thinking if we get volunteers, we really have to focus on get somebody from construction, somebody for general industry, throughout environmental, maritime, and get somebody for environmental too, because everybody today is a she, safety, health, environmental. And I would say health, how many industrial hygienists are? That's what I started out as, industrial hygienist. There aren't that many left.
And there are not many going to school right
there
now.
aren't that many going to school.
We don't have that many enrolled,
And
so
the reason is why? What's else we doing with industrial hygiene? Nothing.
nothing.
I mean, I can honestly put on 2 hands the number of exposures I've had over the years, all the sampling I did. And I can honestly say 3 of those samples, I know they screwed them. They put pure toluene on my sampling foods. I know he did it because you don't get pure toluene in the sample unless you put it in the solution. One person put a chunk of wood in there and said, look at what happened. By the way, they all paid the price, just so you know. I made them, one of the guy who did the toluene, it was May, and I looked at him, I said, oh, that's bad. I put him in a line air respirator, a Tyvek suit, gloves, and I came back in October. And do the sampling, he put. In fact, all of them quit before I ever came back to do the sampling, I think it's back there. But there's ways to get around, oh gee, I gotta put you in some big protection. Anyways, so that's what I just see the programs, get 3 people involved, so we have really good presentations to get people back. And we used to have really good presentations. Government affairs. You would like to do that?
Yes.
Have you ever been to the ASSP website?
Yes.
And there's a big section on government affairs. That's where you would go, plus OSHA, EPA, which I wouldn't worry about EPA, I worry about ADA. Because EPA won't ever be here, you'll be just looking up the regulations, because that's, it's the size of this room, the regulations. And then,
Does that include things like when what's his name came to Tuscaloosa? OSHA.
yes, that's a good presentation. Everybody likes OSHA.
Yeah.
OSHA update. Everybody loves it. I can tell you right now from the national conference, OSHA's big focus right now is infectious diseases, ergonomics, but I can't call it ergonomics, or have to call it something else, because there's they got hit in court that they can't use the word ergonomics in heat stress. Those are the big 3 OSHA's working on right now. That's probably where some of the new standards are gonna come out, especially, this is coming down the pipe. Oh, you're tired, all yours. And then obviously, I checked our website, good God, we are way behind on it. It's the previous,
Previous or
previous in there, Paul's still our president, I'm still chairman of the Tuscaloosa section. So we need to update it. We also got, one of the employment opportunities is like from July. We got some really old stuff in there. We really need to update it. I am an idiot when it comes to computers. I can turn them on and turn them off and screw them up. That's my computer world. And then I got Randy, so he can blow anything up that's computer oriented or electronics. All we gotta do is have him touch it, so we're done. So it's good to do is ruin the computer world. And so somebody needs to step forward who knows how to handle websites and update our websites and keep it updated with notices and so forth. We do have the Region 4 conference down at Disney World. So it has been some updating, thanks to Vincent.
Yes.
Thank you, Vincent. We need to really update it with the new members, the new committee, executive committees and section people as well. This is where we got to really focus on. What can we accomplish? There's 8 of us in here today. We can't do it all. So what can we focus on to get done? The goal is June 2024, because the next year will start July. What can we focus on to get members to come back? I think a recognition luncheon event is going to be important. I think a PDC event is going to be important. I've got security and AI up there. At the governor's conference, David Carpenter put on a presentation.
So David,
Are you there for that?
wasn't in his,
I didn't see his.
I was there, I didn't.
Same time of mine, I think.
Yeah, what he's talking about with electronics and so forth today is, this being from, virus ware and everything is great for going in front door. Back door's wide open. In other words, I can take a valve at somebody's, boiler at some place in this country, get in the back door, turn it, so it screws up the boiler and blows it up. And we have no way of preventing it at this time. And that's where he's talking about, we're moving there very quickly because we don't have a choice. Cyber security has failed in those areas and you can get terrorist attacks through those. And that's what his presentation was on. So have a PDC, and what I thought about, cyber security, it doesn't just affect employers and the business world, it also affects the personal world. So get somebody to come in from a personal standpoint and talk about security, protecting your name and so forth. And we're acting on that for this group. Over in Tuscaloosa, I've got OSHA involved, I got 811 involved. I got to get a supplier like it's the rental company, United Rentals, excavation trenching. We're going to do it next year. First time we did was 70 at least.
It was high.
Yeah,
Good.
which is really good. And the reason why we did it is an employee got killed for not Utah, what's that over there? That town over there along the river. One of their, unfortunately.
It wasn't Wetumpka. I don't remember what it was, but yes, it was just it was horrible. It was just,
I think it's Utah, it's not Utah. State of Alabama, we're not protected by OSHA. So he was a local government employee. And the point of the whole procedure of doing this at the event was that this person died, even though they had the trench box there, because they were too lazy to put the trench box in. Furthermore, you're going to die if you get caught in there, more than likely, because the fire department, who also I got to get involved, took 8 hours to get there to get to them. You don't have every fire department trained for rescue in a trench. They've got to get their materials together because they're not ready. Then they got to go over and they got to assess the trench because they're not going in and dying themselves. 8 hours from the time, and this is Tuscaloosa over to that small community, which was about an hour and a half away before they actually got in to get passed away, just from the crushing of the soil. So don't expect that when you have a trenching excavation issue that I'm going to be, saved immediately. It's not going to happen. It's a long-term process to get that person out. And from United Rentals standpoint, these trench boxes are not expensive. We're talking $50 to a couple $100 at the most for the best ones. And people think that when I put them next to the trench, OSHA thinks I'm doing good. In reality, it needs to be in the trench because we had 2 people killed in the Hoover 3 years ago, as a residence. And the trench box is right next to the trench again.
So you're saying it takes a couple $100 to rent one or?
They're very, very cheap.
Very cheap, easy to install.
Yep.
And every trenching accident is avoidable. Every single trenching accident is avoidable.
And usually when one happens, right after the one over Hoover, Orlando, Florida had a fatality. With trenching 2 weeks later.
Where did I hear that about somebody, the collapse, person trapped, guy hopped on the tractor to help get him out, killed him with the tractor.
Yeah.
So you have to,
Try to dig him out.
Yeah.
You're just
another reason,
decapitate him. Which, I mean, the truth of the matter is if you have a collapse in a trench, 99% of the time the person's dead. Because it doesn't take very little amount of dirt. Exactly. It suffocates you.
No, that's just for suggestions. We can do other PDC. We've done PDCs where we've done lockout, tag out, machine guarding,
We did weather, we did
we've done weather, we changed.
active
patient.
shooter,
Yeah. so-
weather active shooter, we've done a lot.
And then maybe something we can look at, we can do, and what we may wanna do, is, again, all proceeds go to our scholarship fund. Charge very little, $10 or $25 that will come. And then charge very little for vendors, $75, $100, them so table. And we can do 3 presentations in the morning, you'll get your 23 credits, towards your certifications. And we're good to go, and we had a PDC, which we'll get points for our chapter. And we actually accomplished something that some people could come to and get some additional information to education. For the Auburn, anybody here from Auburn? You work at Neptune, right? So, have you talked to anybody at Auburn? Because again, with Auburn, I've emailed them, but it didn't come back. I just got no response. Now, I talked to Dr. Sesson. I sent him an email and said, hey, you guys have put on some great discussions of robotics and robotic safety. How about doing a half-day event at your Auburn location that they did in January of this year? You were here, you were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And it was minimal setup time to do all that. This time, focus it on a PDT, a couple of events where we can do some training, so you get some credit. And then have a few vendors there, charge $10 for so they'll come. And then we put the money towards the scholarships. And Alan, how do we work out separating that money so it's scholarship fund money, so we know that that's scholarship down the road? How could we do that?
I
That's what I'm
actually,
thinking.
yeah.
We're not there yet, we're not even close.
If we have something that significant, I might have to like open like a little savings account sort of that we could draw from. But otherwise, I kind of, where our finances are not complicated, generally speaking, so I know what's what. For the longest time, I kept Northeast Alabama's money in our account, but separate, and then I finally, once it shuttered, I just finally absorbed it, since we do give out money to the sections if they have meetings. So it's really pretty easy, but.
So something to think about. Mention we get to. Again, that's what I'm thinking, we can put proceeds from these events to our stock. Anybody else have any comments? Anything you'd like to see? I mean, I would put, let's go do something fun, and they failed. I can tell you, I've done 3 of them, they've all failed. So 3 times I've struck out, so if y'all can come up with something better, that doesn't include alcohol.
Yeah.
Because the ASSP does not allow alcohol, but somehow Baton Rouge and
Mobile.
Savannah and Mobile can do it, and they get away. I don't know, but we're going to follow the rules. I'm all for it, to get them to come. I'm all for it to go to a facility that will open up their facility to us to do a tour. Nucor Steel said they would do it. Honda said once they would do it, and the executive committee showed up, and that was it.
Yeah, Hyundai.
We've done a Mercedes, and the executive, some committee members showed up, and that was it. So again, I haven't got 3 strikes against me on these adventures to these places, but so I got 1 more strike. So we can try 1 more place and strike out. But for some reason, they just don't like the vendors. It's for tour. I don't know why. I think it'd be interesting. I mean, for Montgomery and Auburn section, I think it would be awesome to get into Hyundai, because they supposedly have a robotic painting for all their vehicles, which tips the vehicle through the painting process, and it's all robotics. I would love to see that, just to see how it works. So
They do a very good tour at Hyundai. They really do.
yeah, so that would be something I'd look at Auburn, Montgomery doing, and say, hey, I'll be there. I'm from Alabama chapter, but I'll be there for that. I want to see it. But I don't know why people just don't want to do it. So it's open to all now. So here you go. What do you all want to do? What do you think we can accomplish? How can we bring more people to these meetings? So
I'm making a list, right? I mean, because this is pretty much all I deal with business-wise, or different safety people. So I'm just making a list of the folks of my, I don't have that many Alabama companies that I deal with, that I've got a handful, a dozen or so. I'll reach out to all my contacts at these companies to see if I can get them involved. Some of them may be members, they just don't ever come. I don't know.
When they always come as a guest, you will not turn away as a guest. As long as the whole idea is to improve their safety, education, and knowledge. That's what it's all about.
Multiple trucking companies, some steel companies, one grocery store. Citco.
It's definitely, Sheila, go to Southern Company. And kind of fell by the
You know, maybe we ought to do, maybe you ought to do a little very limited campaign and reach out to safety, you as the president with like a letter and an invitation to the safety people in each of these kind of the targeted places you want to remind them that we're here. Tell them of upcoming events, even the to be determined, you know, this is what we've got coming down the pike. We'd love to see you there, or if you can send one of your people. I mean, because I think that's basically where because we don't have the same number of people in our leadership in those places, we don't have the same entree. You know, I mean, if you're not there, you don't hear about it. It's not like ASSP sends out something in the Birmingham News every week. So if you don't know about us, you don't know about us. There may be time to because all, you know how safety people, our students get hired immediately. They don't even, some of them, we have to beg them to finish their papers and stuff, but they do move. I mean, it's a very quick path and they're all over the place. So we had one at Vulcan, one at, anyway, they're all over the place. And so they forget too, because they're busy with their careers and moving around. So.
Another thing I thought about, which I didn't put on here was, you know, safety success stories at companies. We would go to them for a meeting, they could talk about their success. Or a new CDM or CD something, steel company that just.
So what you're talking about, yeah.
Go to them and say, hey, this is who we are. We're interested to see what your process is and how you do it. And how do you do it safely here? See if that would work. Maybe it would.
But I think it's gonna be a little bit of us knocking on doors a little bit, reminding people that we're here and that we have a value. And, you know, just the points and just the networking and all that.
And JSU fixes their email
Yeah,
system.
once they fix their email.
We can discuss it, which is a meeting next year at your facility, March, February, whatever you want to do. We'll move it out so we can actually email each other, get through the process.
Hello, everyone. This is Emmanuel online here.
Anybody else want to volunteer right now for one of these? Start taking over. Really?
I think we need to aim on that one. If we're gonna do it, we need to
Yes.
go ahead and do that.
Auburn area should be involved with this. You got a lot of long-term numbers down there.
Yeah, we should do the recognition.
Vincent said it. We get people to, you know, get involved in that event. It's basically setting up food. The hard part is, and this will be assignment to you, Ellen.
Oh.
We gotta get a hold of somebody who has a certificate, a long-term certificate, or do we have an example?
Ooh,
Remember,
what, Matt, yeah, sweet friend,
Kurt
Kurt's
did it
friend.
all. So he
Yeah.
had we need this.
Somebody's certificate.
Yeah, we need John Place to send us a copy.
No.
So then we can do it. Once we can set it up, and this will cost, we'll send off those really nice. We'll have to buy some cheap frames to put them in. For the long-term people who have been with ASSP should get it in a frame. The others will give them in like one of those
Certificate
old
folder. Yeah.
things. We can do it that way.
Yeah, I think we should send out special, I think in the past, at least the one we did at Vulcan, I think we sent a special invitation, even though it was in email format, or there's some people like, I mean, I haven't seen Frank Lakatich in forever. I hope he's okay, but you know, people that we've lost, but we know haven't moved necessarily, send them a paper invitation of some sort, because I think it makes it more, it's not, this isn't just a meeting, even though we do it on a Friday, like we do the meetings, this is for them, not everybody else. So I think we ought to do that as well. You poor thing. I mean, I know how I have to leave the room.
Which one did you
Ham
use?
sandwich.
Oh, ham. Got some spices on there. we also need to, invite the student groups too.
Yes, yes.
I wonder what they can do for us, what we can do for them at the event. So, they could do a little presentation on their student
Yeah.
body there. Maybe somebody could present on some work they're doing or something like that. Make that part of that. These are all things to think about. And I don't mean being on the committee to start with. Cause I can put together, getting the food together, delivered here. I'll get the room set up with our contact here. Probably do it here, you think would be?
Yeah, this will be
Just what we
fine.
did before.
We should probably set it up. We did it in April or May usually, so
Yeah,
we
we'll
need
see
to
the
just,
details. We're gonna do next April.
Yeah.
In fact, we can get that on our,
just go ahead and put it on the calendar for whatever that.
calendar and get it on our website saying April 2024. And we'll have to look at what the third day in April is. We will have our
Membership recognition.
recognition dinner for our long-term members. And really, we start at 5, so they'll get a certificate of 5 years, 10, 15, 20, all the way to 50.
Well, Tom, I can just start back and forth with you on sort of an agenda. If you
Okay.
kind of,
I'm gonna email Wayne. I know he's got some of those certificates.
yeah, Wayne's bound to.
Sounds good.
He's gonna be on that. We've got the AOC in 5 minutes. He should be on that.
Okay.
19th.
The 19th.
Get him to give us an example, then we can go ahead and get it really done well, nice. And I think that'll help bring the long-term member back. So how do we get the younger ones out? Ashley?
Younger than me.
Can you all hear me? Hello?
She's still a student, so. So,
I'm not even a young student.
no, we're not, and that's true throughout ASSP. We're not very good at communicating with the younger generation. How can we do that? We need your help. And that's true for a lot of them. Like I said, back, Boca Raton, not
There's
Boca.
a question in the chat.
For some reason,
In the chat.
Oh.
I want to see if that's something somebody chatted. Emmanuel, maybe. Can you all hear me?
No.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. That wasn't that long ago, thank God.
Emmanuel, I don't know what to change.
Can you
He's
unmute
muted on
him?
his end, it
Can
looks
you
like.
unmute him? He's.
Well,
might not be able- There
Can
he
you
is.
all hear me now?
Something he's muted.
Unmuted.
Oh, there you go.
We talked about this a little bit at the ABC meeting last week about getting younger people involved, and I think there's just not very much. People don't know about safety jobs very much. It's not something that people come out of school and they're like, oh, I want to go into a safety job. A lot of people get kind of like migrated into this once they start working in a facility. But I think, once people realize that you can make a decent living doing safety and it puts you into a nice little niche, there's always demand for safety people.
Oh, it's crazy.
Because there's not
Yeah,
enough
no.
people out there. There's a lot of general engineers, there's a lot of this and that, there's not that many safety people. I mean, my career in physical therapy and work comp was, really nice because there aren't very many people who specifically go into work comp. They're afraid of it, or they don't, it's got a bad stigma. But I made a lot of money doing work comp because nobody else wanted to do it. And I think it's the same thing with safety people. You can make a decent living because there's a high demand. Not many people want to go into it.
Come out of UAB with your MSPH and you start.
Try talking, Manuel. I might have had, I think I had this on mute.
Your education.
Yes, can you all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Sorry about that. I think that was on my end.
Oh, thank you, Vincent. Yeah, I had a question and not, I guess it's more of a question / suggestion on the engagement part. And I know like Gulf Coast chapter, last year, they kind of made it one of their goals to really all chapters be platinum. And one of the target was that they would try to kind of enhance their engagement level, and they kind of leverage more social media outreach Arizona chapter as well, kind of leverage more on social media. So I would just kind of get, trying to find out if we've kind of, with us kind of having challenges with our members connecting and being engaged, have we kind of tried to find out from those chapters that have been really successful, how they go about it, keeping their members all engaged.
Use another group as an example, we go,
Yeah, Social chapter was, the wheelchair. They kind of do their own thing, really. So it's tough to talk to them.
Mike Shoemaker's really nice. I mean, he's one of but yeah, they do their own thing.
They do their own thing, they kind of don't.
But the way they do, I mean, the way they do it is a meeting and then a social and a meeting and a social and a meeting and a social to try to keep, I mean, the socials draw a lot of people in.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how it rotates with their meeting attendance, but I know their socials are well attended.
And see, the problem with our socials, we had a social over
Tried.
in Trustville.
Yeah.
And it didn't go very well. In fact, the person we could present that night, they didn't have them present because there was like 1 or 2 people in there. So we in our social. I don't know if it's the traffic here. I don't know if it's the distances people go to their house when they leave work. They just don't want to do socials after work with our chapter or our sections. They just don't do it. We've done socials in Tuscaloosa. We did a ball game with UA and Mississippi State. And thank God the wives and kids came, or there would have been nobody there. There's Paul, me, and 2 other members from the section, and luckily they brought their kids and wives. We had 15 total. And we,
I would think too, that they're probably looking for some consistency so that, okay, we're gonna have a social every May. And every May, we put on that social, first 2 times, nobody shows up. Third time, because we know it's coming in May and we're pushing it, and people maybe, I'm thinking we probably have to make it more consistent.
problem is they aren't cheap to begin with.
Yeah.
So we throw $1,000 and 5 people show up, wasn't worth it. We can't sustain budgets like that where we continue to fail. That's the problem. Throw in the recognition dinner.
It'll,
A lot of people.
we should,
Always
I would hope.
There's always been 50 to 70 people at those events. So if we hold one next April, they should come out of the walls and come to our event. It's during regular work hours. It will be on Friday, and we'll guarantee get
That'll-
out of here before the Mets on 4:59.
Yeah, it'll bring them.
59 hits. So everybody going back to Jacksonville State, I'll get you home before you got that mess there. Otherwise, take 72 back. 78 back. Till you get over the leads and you bypass everything. You just have been unsuccessful. And why Savannah and Baton Rouge has success is it kind of made it towards, it's a younger crowd there. They like to go out. They like alcohol at the event. And they like the food and they enjoy it. And that's why it's successful.
We're just a nerdy group.
We're-
We're just a nerdy group. I'm teasing.
I'll be honest with you, I'll say this, when I go out to a consultation visit and I gotta go to Mobile or Montgomery, and I was a member, and you're having an event tonight, and I pull in from that traffic on lovely 65 coming up from Mobile at rush hour, or the last thing I'm thinking about is attending the get together. I could care less, cause I'm gonna go home and relax, cause I've had a long day. And that could very well be, some of the issues is, you have an event at 6:30 or 7. They get to go home,
Yeah, and then they gotta come back.
and Daddy, let's do this, you promised me this. That could be an issue, and once they get home, they don't want to leave. And it's Shelby County, you still have a mess on 65 and 280 and 31 at 6:30. So I'm not driving in traffic, or worse, they got home, now they're coming back into the city to go out to dinner and drink or whatever. So you have the traffic coming back in. And they're not gonna come from Shelby County to go over to Trustful. So that could be, as simple as that, I'm home, I've had a long day, I don't wanna do Like I said,
I've had more success doing it at lunch instead of doing it at dinner.
and we could try,
Probably
you could.
on a Friday. I mean, it's a nice, as I was telling Vincent when I first got here. We have these, if I can arrange it, I don't even go into the office, you know, I come here, I do this, I do the AOC, I go back home. You know, or I go, you know, and I mean, I still work in the afternoon, but it's not having to be in the office.
Think somehow. How can you do that and take care of all the other chapters and sections all at the same
Oh,
time?
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah,
Doing it on a Friday afternoon.
You're spread out.
That's true.
However, I will say this, members want consistency. So you don't wanna move around, you know, meetings all the time.
It's nice having this place, it is, but
And the section over Tuscaloosa, I can honestly tell you, the meetings on campus, are not coming. I don't.
It's a pain in the neck
LSU
to-
crowd.
yeah.
I don't do the, what was it, game last week, Arkansas crowd. And I understand that, I mean, God forbid, LSU game last year, took them 2.5 hours to get us lunch. That's how much traffic there was. So it's ridiculous, and we were to Jason's Deli, which is like 3 miles away. Just could not get there from the traffic, and there was a train, of course, there's a train track between the university and Jason's Deli. So, and you got all those people who come in the game, what do you mean I can't park my RV on campus? I can do that all the time before. Well, we changed it. Well, who told you that? Cause they didn't tell me, and you know, you got these RVs parked all over the place, not going anywhere. It's a pain, so we moved it over to the Tuscaloosa Gateway Center. And we have better attendance now because it's away from campus. Problem is, people on the other side of campus who work can't get through the campus mess to get to us. So they have to drive down to Skyline Boulevard, and come up, so it's like a 30-minute ride for them with traffic versus, you know, a 2-minute ride. So we've had our pluses and minuses for moving it to where we did. So members like consistency, that's why we chose. We used to do Bradfield Gorey for years. Then we went to that workforce development next to Bradfield and Gorey.
Yeah, that was a great
That
location.
was a great location. We had Carlisle's barbecue across the street. Which was really good. We did PDC there one night. And we got a different crowd because it was downtown. Parking was pretty good. I wouldn't use that place for the recognition dinner because I don't think it's got a ton of parking there.
It's not great.
Yeah, so if you got 70 or 80 attendees and there's 60 cars, I don't think you can fit 60 cars there. That's one of the problems of that location. This location is fine. You got the back lot. But I tried to get the president from, you know, Savannah saying you get $5,000 to $6,000 out of these companies. I can get it here. She said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Savannah. Just the way it is over there. Thanks for your question.
Hey, Wayne's on now, or AOC starts at Wayne.
Okay. So, any more questions?
Hey, Alan,
Hey, Wayne.
Let's end this.
I had trouble getting on for some reason. I don't know why I couldn't get on.
there's
This is the
another meeting.
Area operating committee,
So.
so.
Area operating committee.
Thank you, Manuel. I'm shut down.
Sit down. Pretend to, let me know if you want to get involved.
The wicked way looks like coming out of the other one.
Joe Keenan, but yeah, well, I've got Tom.
Okay.